How's it going, everybody? Welcome back to the Haunted Cafe.
What's up?
This is part 2 of Michael Malloy's, or Malloy, whatever you want to call him, story.
The man who couldn't be killed.
The guy who wouldn't die. Let me know down in the comments which one you prefer. The man who wouldn't die, or the guy...
The man who couldn't be killed.
I was like, wait, what was it? The guy who wouldn't die, or what?
The guy who couldn't die, or the man who couldn't be killed.
Yeah, what he said, Carl.
Jeez.
Anyway, so we're filming this pretty much a couple hours or an hour after we recorded part 1.
Yeah.
So that's why I'm still wearing my shirt. He changed his.
I had to change mine. It had a big ass stain on it.
Anyway, he changed his shirt because he wanted to be ironic. And now
Yeah.
it kind of burned him in the butt because it's kind of fucked. But anyway, so we're still chugging on our teas. I still have the decaf Earl Grey tea from Stash from our box.
And I still have me oolong tea from London. Right here. With Twinnings.
Yep. So I also have my pretty cup that's a cactus.
And I have a cauldron. Or coffin.
Or coffin. Yeah. But, yeah. So, links for all of this will be down in the description below. Might even throw in a link to this mic, because I really like this mic.
Oh yeah, this mic is amazing.
Yeah, and I would definitely, approve of it. We got it off of Amazon.
Comes in a few colors, too. I have a black one. And we have this white one. And then there's a metallic blue. I think there's a pink.
Maybe, I'm not sure. I think, we used the black one before on this
We probably have.
podcast, so...
And it's got this cool little RGB thing going on in it too, which is nice.
Yep.
Excuse me.
Gross. Alright, so now we're on to part 2. Oh, I gotta fix my nose. In part 1, we left you with the murder trust feeding Michael Malloy wood alcohol, which, in case you didn't go back to part 1, which you should because you're gonna miss and not understand.
You're gonna miss the whole premise of this.
Wood alcohol is a component used in antifreeze, paint thinner, and more instead of just regular alcohol.
Yep.
So,
in other words, it's bad.
It was pretty much poison, literal poison, excuse me, that they were feeding him or letting him drink, and he survived. He was perfectly fine.
Mm-hmm.
So, now that all of that didn't work, they have to move on to plan number 2. Or 3, actually. Because the alcohol, I was trying to keep count of, how many plans they came up with. The alcohol, just the regular alcohol itself, him drinking himself to death, was number 1. The wood alcohol was 2. And then this would be the next one then, right?
I don't know.
Yeah, I'm getting confused.
Multiple attempts. We're on to multiple attempts.
So, it would be Frank Pasquale who came up with the next idea, which Frank Pasquale is the funeral director. Michael, the victim, was a well-known seafood guy. He loved it. Everyone knew that, especially the murder trust guys. They bought him good old oysters, usually nice friends would, but they soaked the oysters in the wood alcohol for days on end. And I think that they kind of wanted them to go bad and, ferment. Yeah. So, after those, few days, they served them while he was drunk. You heard the car horn, sorry. We live in an apartment. But, yeah, so after those few days, they served him those oysters with the wood alcohol. And I think they even served him, a drink of wood alcohol. So they were, doubling down, you know? And, the guy just burped and thanked them for the oysters. He was perfectly fine. I put in my notes, I was like, at this point, I feel like I would have given up trying to kill this guy. Yeah. Because... Without
making it too obvious.
Yeah, because he should have been dead,
Yeah.
Realistically, he should have been dead, the first or second night. Yeah. But he just... didn't. And I also said that, I feel... Like, he probably thinks how awesome his friends are for giving him all of this stuff, like free food, free drinks. Yeah. Like, in his mind, he's probably like, man, these guys are being really nice to me. They're being, like, you know, my buddies. Which, if he was, like, giving up on life and, like, wanting to end it or, just not caring anymore, they might have been giving him some kind of, like, hope.
Yeah,
You know?
probably.
Like, it kind of sucks, but either way, they didn't stop, and they continued to come up with all kinds of plans. So Joseph Murphy, who was the bartender at the speakeasy, decided to take a tin can of sardines and left them out to rot for 7 days. Yeah, which is gross. And then he mixed in some random metal shrapnel into the sardines, put this between two pieces of bread, and served Malloy the sandwich. They all hoped that, like, the bits of the metal would start slashing into his organs and cause him to bleed internally, which it's possible that that would happen, but wouldn't you, like, not notice that for, like, a few days? I guess
No,
it
you would
depends.
feel it on the back of your throat. If it started right away, you would feel it.
I guess it depends on, like, the damage.
Yeah.
But instead, the man with the iron stomach asked for more.
It's either that or this dude knew what was going on and he was purposely doing this to try and end himself quicker. But it just wasn't working.
That was a theory I had at the end.
Because, like, if this guy, you can tell when there's metal, like, if you buy, drunk or not, you're going to be able to tell if there's metal shrapnel in your sandwich.
Yeah.
Like, even the next day, if you have to take a crap, you know how bad that's going to hurt. And you find metal in your stool, it's like...
Well, even that, and then, like, you getting drunk. If you get drunk enough to where you can't even tell what you're eating, then you probably shouldn't be eating something. You know what I mean?
They're drunk.
I know. But anyway, so all that, that happened. It didn't work. So then they decided to try the bar owner, Tony Marino's method of killing. Marino and Frank Pasquale put sleeping Michael in the back of Frank's car, drove him over to Crotona Park, where they proceeded to drag him through the snow and make him really cold and wet. They sat him up on a park bench, poured water over him, and let him freeze there, basically. Try to freeze him to death.
Yeah.
That should work, right? Not suspicious
well, with all the
at
alcohol
all.
in your body, you probably wouldn't even... I don't know if your body feels it.
Well, my thing was, doesn't alcohol make your body heat up?
No,
or is it the opposite?
I think it's more or less the opposite. It's bad, obviously, to be drinking in, like, Alaska. If you're out camp, like, ice fishing in Alaska, I know a lot of people drink while they do it, but if you're getting absolutely blasted drunk, and say if you fall into the water and then you get out, but there's no one else around you and you're still drunk, you're probably going to die.
Well, I know, like, when people get, like, stuck in their cars during snowstorms, like, they get stuck on the side of the road or whatever, they tell you not to drink alcohol because I think it might make you colder, or at least think that you're colder.
Neither one of us are drinkers, so we don't really know the science behind it, but what I'm thinking is, like, it makes you think that you're warming up when you're actually not. And eventually, if you do that enough times, obviously your body's going to get immune to the cold, and it's not going to affect you anyway. That's what would happen way back in, like this is a poor example, but take Skyrim, for example. All they would drink in, like, the coldest temperatures was mead. And they would say, oh, it warms the body up, when it actually doesn't. It makes you think it's warmed up, and that makes you think you can actually survive what you're going through. And it all really comes down to a mental game.
Yeah.
So.
But,
That's the best we can come up with,
so pretty
honestly.
much he was drunk. He was passed out.
Yeah.
And they took him out there. They took off his shirt, which is, like, suspicious to me. Dumped water on him, and then left him out on a park bench to just freeze to death.
It would have been better off leaving his clothes on and then soaking in water, because it would have stayed wet longer.
Yeah, I don't know why they took the shirt off. I guess to make it hit his actual, like, skin more.
I mean, I guess, but if your clothing is freezing
and it's sticking to you,
yeah, over top of your body, which is already cold to begin with, and you put freezing cold clothes on, that's like hypothermia. Like, if you're taking the clothes, they tell you to not take your clothes off to when you're in like conditions like that. But there are also people who do take their clothes off and then they huddle together because the body heat
Yeah.
keeps them warm.
Yeah, well,
So
he's by himself, so...
well, yeah, I mean, still.
there
I
ain't
mean,
nobody
if
else
he's a
cuddling
fat
with.
Irish dude who's been drinking a lot, he's probably got a lot of body heat in him.
Yeah. Well, but that's when you would want to keep the clothes on to keep that body... Yeah.
Yeah, so they messed up on that part. They should have kept the clothes on. He probably would have been bad at that point.
Yeah. So anyway, so they did that, and the next day, life went on as usual. Tony Marino, however you say it, probably got up feeling like $1 million and headed down to the speakeasy to start his day. You know, count the alcohol bottles, make sure that the wood alcohol isn't exactly next to the whiskey, just in case someone got suspicious. Yeah. So when he went downstairs, he finds Michael's frozen body passed out in the basement. This man walked all the way back to the speakeasy, which it wasn't incredibly far, but being frozen to death, almost, you know?
It probably woke him up a little bit. The cold temperature probably got him out of his sleeping stupor and woke him up and was like, bro, you need to get moving.
Mm-hmm. But he walked all the way back to the speakeasy, and he actually begged Joseph Murphy, the bartender, to let him back in. And he did. Like, I feel so bad for this guy. But it says when he woke up, he said that he was feeling a wee chilly.
I'm a wee chilly, yeah.
Yeah. So, while they're doing all of this, they're keeping up with the insurance policy payments, which is putting them in even more debt. You know, they wanted to end all of this. Like, you know, each month, however much the insurance policy is, that's coming out of their amount, and then all the wood alcohol, all the sardines, the regular alcohol, like, it's all adding up. So I think this is like plan number 5 or something at this point.
Take 27.
Yeah. One of the gang offered a friend of his, so another conspirator, how do you say that? Yeah, conspirator, named Harry Green, who was a cab driver, $150 of the insurance money if he would willingly hit Michael Malloy with his cab.
Wow. He
agreed, and so that plan commenced. I don't know who exactly was all here, but everybody got into the back of this cab with sleeping Michael, which this guy sleeps like heavy as hell. Yeah. I mean, he's drunk, I know that much, but he's like gone.
This almost sounds like it's not true.
It is, though. It is.
Like, it sounds fake as hell.
I actually looked up their execution dates and stuff, so it happened. And then there's also, you can see the printout of the insurance paper for the one. I mean, we'll get into it, but they did get one of the insurance checks for like $800. So this actually happened. They were just really fucking stupid. So they drove to some random street and they stopped. Tony Bastone and Joseph Murphy dragged Malloy's down the road and held him out by his outstretched arms, like T-posed him. And the rest of the group like stayed in the car. They probably did some kind of countdown, 3, 2, 1. But then, just as they were about to start, a light turned on near them. They found out it was just a woman turning on her bedroom light. So, I don't know if she actually saw anything, but they were like, okay, everything's good. So, they tried again, and Michael jumped out of the way twice. And my thing is, was he awake? Or was he just, like, you know, delirious, you know? Like, man, why am I standing in in this road, and someone's holding me up, you know? Yeah. And then there's a car coming at me. Finally, on the third time, Henry Green, or Harry Henry, whatever his name is, he hit Michael.
Hi, baby. The cat's in the thing again. Hi. You want to say hi?
She has to show up at least once.
Say hi to the people. Go ahead, say hi. Say hi. Go ahead, say hi. There it is.
She has to show up at least once.
Yeah.
But anyway, so I think I wrote Harry before, but I don't remember. Hold on, I gotta go back up.
We'll be right back after these messages.
So they found out it was just a woman with her bedroom light. So they tried again, and and he jumped out of the way. Finally, on the third time, the cab driver was going 50 miles per hour when he hit Michael.
Wow.
Michael flew over the car and ended up on the ground. And then my alarm went off.
And Michael woke up from his dream.
Yeah. So, then, after he flew over the car and landed on the ground, Henry or Harry backed over him to make sure that he was dead.
Jesus.
Make sure he was dead. They ran off because they saw a car coming towards him, so no one checked to make sure he was really dead.
That car probably saw that dude and patched him up, and then he just went back to the bar the next day. Ugh.
So, the next part of the plan was to get Joseph Murphy, a.k.a. this Nicholas Malloy, the fake name's brother, to call around to the morgues and the hospitals looking for this guy. Basically, he was looking for Michael to see if he died, or to see if he was at the hospital still alive. But they're acting like it's Nicholas, so that way if he did die, it's like, oh, this is Nicholas Malloy, I can collect, the insurance money. But nothing showed up. No reports of car accidents, no dead bodies, no injured people in the hospital. It was as if the car accident just didn't happen. It was as if Michael just got up and walked away. At this point, everybody is fed up. Probably
never mess with an Irishman.
Yeah, right? Probably just pissed off at each other. Like this, the cracks are breaking, this friendship over murder is falling apart. Yeah. So Frank Pasquale began to look for someone else to kill. Literally anyone else that they could use as the body of Nicholas Malloy. Or Mallory. I always get them messed up because they're like so close.
Yeah.
So close. I don't know why I did that, but
I don't know either.
Anyway, so he's looking for somebody else. They can't find Michael. They've called all of the hospitals, all of the morgues. They can't find him. But he came to them. Randomly, he comes into the bar, beaten and battered, and looking for a drink.
Wow.
What's really messed up is that he actually told them all that he remembered about that night. What he said was that he remembered bright lights, alcohol, and then nothing. He woke up at Fordham Hospital and just wanted to leave to come back to the bar. So that also makes me wonder if he knew that they were doing stuff to him and he just didn't care.
It'd be funny if he was like quoted at making a joke to the bartender. The bartender's like, "Hey, you okay? What happened?" And then the guy's like, "I feel like I've been hit by a car."
Yeah. I mean, I'm sure that I'm like, how does that like come about? Like, oh, you must have gotten hit by a car or something, Or do they just not say, "Oh man, that sucks. Wonder what happened," type of thing, Now Gypsy's moving our mic.
What are you doing, sneaky cat? Huh?
So, I would love to say that this just keeps going and going and going, and that all these, attempts just fail. But, eventually he does pass away. 7 months after they started, they attempted their final plot. They took a tube and ran it from a gaslight fixture to his mouth and then wrapped a towel around his face. Basically, they got tired of the sneaky ways of trying to kill him.
They were just outright trying to suffocate him.
Yeah, they were done with the accidents. They were like, let's move on to actual
murder.
I mean, it was murder, but you know what I mean.
Yeah. It wasn't accidental murder. It was purposeful murder.
And if they were to do an autopsy, you would see that this was not an accidental murder. So they got a real doctor, but a crooked doctor named Dr. Frank Manzel. So they got Dr. Frank Manzel, a friend of Pasquale's, to file a phony death certificate citing lobar, I guess, for pneumonia, as the cause. Basically, they said he had pneumonia. So they got one of the 3 life insurance policies, which was they hate 800 from Metropolitan Life Insurance Company, and so they split it. I don't know how much they exactly got because I don't know who exactly got what money wise, but I said between at least the 9 or 10 conspirators, everybody would get around $80, which is nothing, you know.
Yeah, especially with all the time that was wasted.
Yeah, and then all the money that they put
Yep.
out to do
Yep.
it. And it was said that Frank Pasquale and the bar owner Tony Marino, they just went and bought suits with it. And I was like, all of this just to go buy a suit? Like you didn't even like put it towards your bar or put it towards something that would keep you going for a little bit.
Come on.
They just bought a suit, you know. So then Frank Pasquale went to the other insurance company where they had the 2 policies, and he asked for those. He was flabbergasted when the insurance officer asked to see the body. Because, like...
Why would you want to do that?
Yeah, well, this is the 1930s where everybody's trying to scam the insurance company. So, yeah. He told the guy that the body had already been buried, which set off red flags for the company. An investigation ensued where everybody began to talk, and then the murder trust gang was caught. They were arrested.
Wow.
Frank Pasquale, Tony Marino, Daniel Kreisberg, which was the grocer who said he didn't really have anything to do with it except money, and Joseph Murphy, the bartender, were tried and convicted of first-degree murder. They were executed at Sing Sing Prison in Ossining, New York.
Ossining? I think it might be Ossining, New York.
Maybe. But anyway, they were all executed. And you can actually look up their execution things.
Wow.
Like their name is on there as, you know, who was executed and what year and stuff like that. The doctor was also held as an accessory to murder because he faked the death certificate. The cab driver was also convicted. So John McNally, Edward Smith, Tony Bastion, and Joseph Maglione, I don't know what happened to them. I can't really find anything, and no one says anything. I don't know if they just kind of like disappeared in the background because
Probably.
they technically weren't like the first 5.
Mm-hmm.
They all did try to commit the murder though, so they definitely should have been like.
They all tried to murder, yeah.
Yeah, they all tried to the murder, but they all tried to commit murder, so like they definitely all should have been arrested, but it's nothing's talked about. And it just sucks because poor Michael, he was just like a guy who happened to stumble into a bar and happened to become friends with people that were not in his best interest, you know?
The wrong people.
And they also just put like way too much effort into this.
Yeah.
Like for as little money as they got and were going to get.
Yeah.
They just put way too much.
These guys, and I want everyone to hear this, whoever watches, these guys are the absolute perfect example of tryhards.
Yeah.
Like
because it even said like after a certain point in time, this became more about pride than it did the money.
Yeah. Like you put all this effort into it for what? For what?
A suit that they didn't even get to wear because they were executed.
Just goes to show if you try way too hard at something and you are absolutely like severely dedicated to something and you just cannot let your pride get in the way of like, hey, I shouldn't be doing this, you're gonna fail. Like you're considered a tryhard, and it's like those dudes that play video games, like the 12-year-old tryhards that are on like Call of Duty and stuff like that. I'm not a tryhard at all. But there's like 12-year-old tryhards that are on Call of Duty that try to be like the top tier. It's like, for what, dude? It's a game. Where are you going to get with this? Where exactly are you going to get with this?
But yeah, but I mean, if maybe if it had stayed between the 5 of them and they were able to do the murder successfully, yeah, they probably would have made bank. They would have made like almost $10,000 or whatever. But at the end of the day, like, you wasted so much of your effort, so much of your time, so much of the little bit of money that you had, that is it even worth it at that point, you know? Because I just can't get over the fact that they just went and bought a suit. Like, this man is dead. He's literally, you know, just some random guy that they decided he's not worth keeping alive, you know? And then the last thing I wanted to talk about was the one thing that did keep popping up in my head was, did he know? Like, during the car accident, he was being held up by two guys, but knew enough to jump out of the way when the car was coming. Like, did he see who was holding him up and knew that, like, oh, if I say I saw you guys lift me up, like, I feel like he knew somehow.
Yeah, he had to have.
At least at that point, he knew.
Like I said, if he had the attitude of just not caring, just like drinking himself to death, he had a death wish, and he was just helping these guys help him end it.
He was just like letting them do it because, I mean, I don't know. It just sucks. Like, I feel like he did know, and I feel like, especially with the whole car thing, plus he was being drugged everywhere. Like, his whole body was just being lifted up. You can't tell me that you didn't. I mean, I guess he didn't, but
at least feel. Well, I mean,
you
there's also
felt
acting
something.
too.
Yeah.
Like, if I can act passed out very easily and not interact with the world, period. And I can, like, if he drinks as much as they say he was drinking, then he might have gotten his body probably got so used to drinking that he never even really got like entirely drunk anymore.
Yeah.
It was kind of just like a stable thing. So I guarantee you he was mostly of sound mind while all of this was happening, and he knew what was happening. He probably overheard the conversations. He's in the bar all the time. He's like, he probably noticed the guy staring at him, talking about him. Like,
if the 4 or 5 just people that happened to walk past them while they were talking about this herd, what makes you think that Michael didn't hear? You know?
Exactly.
I don't know how he survived as long as he did, though. Like,
he probably doesn't either.
because he drank all of that. He drank all the wood alcohol. He drank all the regular alcohol. He literally ate shrapnel. He just oysters, rotten sardines. Like, it's and they picked like the weirdest shit to try and kill him.
Yeah.
Like the one like putting water on him and taking him outside. That is a plausible thing, but at the same time,
it's also unlikely.
Like the slowest and most random thing.
Exactly. It takes a lot. Like the temperatures have to be like below 20 degrees for you to just almost freeze instantly. Like, it has to be below 20. Like, if it's like 30, 35 outside and it's snowing, you can sit out in the snow for a while in the cold. You'll be freezing your ass off, but you can do it for a minute.
And also, I just feel like with the older lady that one guy did it to, she probably already had a bunch of health issues. She was probably already, like, not doing as well, like, health-wise.
She was considered a weak victim.
Yeah.
An easy victim. This guy,
this
thought
guy
was going to be a weak victim, but the Irish, man, they're not ones to be messed with.
No, definitely not.
There's some of them are some tough SOBs, especially if you're going to the bar every day and drinking. Like, if you're going to the bar every day and drinking 90% of the people in the bar under the table, and you're still perfectly fine and coming back the next day without any regret, there's something wrong with you mentally. Like, you are a person to not be messed with. Like,
but yeah,
that's what I'm saying. Yeah. Did you like the story, Tippy? Yeah. Awesome.
But yeah, so that's it for this video. Hopefully you guys enjoyed the story of Michael Malloy.
Yeah.
I listened to this first on Morbid, and I was just like blown away by like all of the stuff that they did, you know? They did too much, so much. It was just crazy. But
Jesus.
but yeah, so that's it for this episode. Let us know what you guys think down in the comments below. And
we will see you guys whenever we do another one.
Catch you later.
Later.